Well, hello, this is Josh Goodman, and this is A Goodman's Tale. As always, A Goodman's Tale is a place where we come together, we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the nitty, the gritty, the ups and the downs, what life throws at us, and what we throw back. Today, it's a very great honor to have Pastor Joel from Puerto Rico with me. Once again, coming to you from Puerto Rico, and got a lot of stuff we're going to talk to him about. But before we do that, as always, we ask that if these podcasts bless you, that you would like, share, and subscribe. All right, guys, let's get it. Today's word of the day is the word endonamo. It's the word we get endurance from in the English language, and it's a word that comes from the ancient writings of the Apostle Paul when he writes to the church at Ephesus, and he says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong, be endonamo in the Lord and in the power of his might." For us to have that strength, that endonamo, which is the word empowerment, to enable, to strengthen, and to be strong. So finally, my brethren, be enabled, be empowered, be strengthened, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Pastor Joel, my brother, my friend, thank you so much for being on A Goodman's Tale today. And so let me just cue you in. What we do is we do a couple of icebreakers, and then we get into kind of the nitty and the gritty. And you, my friend, or an individual who is a food enthusiast, such as myself. Lunch yesterday was amazing, though I could only eat just a very small portion of the food. So let's do a couple of food questions to kick this bad boy off. Chicken or beef?
Beef all day.
Really?
All day
long?
All day.
If you could just... So tell me this. Let's take it another step deeper. If you had to eat either beef or chicken and could not eat the other one for the rest of your life, it would still be beef?
Yeah, for sure.
Pound it, son. That's me too, all the way.
Steak.
Beef 10,000 different ways, right?
Yeah.
You know, burgers, steak, tacos, you name it.
Yeah.
Beef is good.
In Puerto Rico, we have a lot of variety with beef.
Yeah.
Especially stewed beef stuff.
Woo! Yeah.
Potato. Oh, yeah.
Stuff mufungu with beef, you know,
yeah.
whatever you name.
Everything.
So, if you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? And that be it. That is your meal for the rest of your life.
I think I'd go. I think I just mentioned it. Stewed beef.
Stewed beef?
Potatoes.
Yeah. Potatoes, really?
And rice.
You know, last week I asked Pastor Junior, because I think this is a question that cuts straight to the heart of every Puerto Rican, right? And that is, if you could only eat one, rice or plantanos, for the rest of your life and could not eat the other, which would you choose?
In that case, I'd go with the plantains.
That's what he said.
Yes.
He was like all day, plantains.
Yeah.
You know, so me being raised...
Nutritionally better.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm going to look at it from a non-nutritional aspect. I love plantains 100 different ways.
Yeah.
You know, whether you want to call it mufungu or mangu or, you know, tostones or banantese, all these I love, but for me, right, I just think there's, I don't know, is there more diversity? And I guess the reason why I say in rice is because I'm thinking of not just plain old white rice. I'm thinking of, well, man, you can do fried rice. You can do rice and beans and rice and rice with bean sauce. I mean, you can do 100 different kinds of rice. So, I don't know, I guess I would need some parameters put on me to say, okay, which one is that going to be? Tell me this, if you were to be stranded, would you prefer being stranded on a mountain in the middle of nowhere or a deserted island?
Mountains.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me this, from a man's survival standpoint, do you think you could survive better in the mountains or on a deserted island?
I think in the mountains. Because,
Really?
Well, the mountains have many things that the desert can't provide.
That's true. I mean, you might find running water, whereas a deserted island,
Exactly.
you know, you might just have the rain or whatever.
Plants. I mean,
Yeah.
you can eat plants.
Yeah.
With the bark of the trees, you can make, you know, whatever kind of hut we're at.
Yeah, you're probably more likely to find animals in the mountains, but a deserted island would supply you with fish. You know.
That's right.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I eat sushi, but would I, you know, eat kelp or green vegetation. I don't know. I think if I had to choose, so I am a water enthusiast, but I think I would love to, the water side of me would love to say a deserted island. I could do that all day, every day, fish for food and all this, but I think, probably the mountains for me too, and that really goes against the grain thing.
Yeah, I think from the freshwater standpoint, I think mountains.
You're gonna, right? You're gonna be much better because again, on a deserted island, you'd be, unless our deserted island had a river running through it, then I guess we could agree. Yeah, something, right? So let's get down to it with your story. First, I'm going to ask that you tell me a little bit. I'm going to throw 3 questions at you today. First, tell me a little bit about yourself, your history, where you've been, what you've done, where you've gone, and then I'm going to ask you to tell me about one of your life's greatest moments, and then finally we'll close up with one of life's most challenging moments. So, who are you, sir, and where are you from?
Well,
dun.
Well, my whole name is Joel Seda Orona. I was born and raised here in Puerto Rico. I'm a pastor's kid, so I've been in ministry ever since I have memory.
Wow, yeah.
Or surrounded by ministry.
Yeah.
So I learned from a very young age to love the Lord. My parents, they were married till last June when my dad died. 14 years of marriage. Wow. And so I learned a lot of stuff from them, just looking at how they behaved, how they lived their lives. I think it was telling you 2 days ago on Saturday that I learned at home that the gospel is true because I saw my parents living the gospel. Yeah,
they walked it out.
Yeah, they walked it out. I saw it work. So I was born and raised in West Puerto Rico. That's the western side of Puerto Rico, like in 1980. I'm 41 years old.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
40? What?
I don't know if this is important, but I went to public school my whole education.
Okay, in Puerto Rico, because I know you lived stateside for a while.
Yes. My whole schooling was Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Yeah, full in Spanish, but I had the privilege to study with very good English teachers. So the English you can hear it was learned here.
Yeah, it was learned here.
Yes.
And you are a great English teacher also.
Yes.
So that's cool that that kind of has rolled over into your story also.
Exactly.
That what somebody's done unto you, you can now do unto
Exactly.
Others.
But my main education was music. I studied in the Conservatory of Music in Puerto Rico.
Really? That's a big deal because not everybody gets into the conservatory.
Yeah, I was trained as a concert pianist.
Wow.
That's my bachelor's degree.
Ooh, look at that stuff, right? That's pretty cool though, because honestly, I have always envied guys like you. I mean, the discipline, the dedication. I enjoy music. I love music, but that for me is, it's like, so I drive a car, right? Well, you are like a Formula One racer. It's like that level. It's like, no, I just drive. That's all I do. And you take it to a whole 3-4 levels up.
Well, it requires a lot of discipline and a lot of time spent in it. But I realized soon enough when I got into the conservatory that to be a concert pianist, you needed a little bit more dedication than I was willing to
But
do.
just the fact that you got there, it's huge. That's huge discipline, huge dedication.
Yeah, I could say I could play very well. Could still play a little bit, but the concert piano requires something that and honestly I didn't want to give it.
Yeah.
But
how many hours a day or a week? Because I mean, obviously, so I play. My first musical teacher said you got to practice an hour a day. You get to a certain point where you're not practicing, quote unquote, so much anymore. But I probably play, humbled to say, only maybe 4 or 5 hours a week, right? If I did really, maybe 6. But a concert pianist, how much does to maintain that level?
To maintain a great playing level, anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day.
Wow.
It is basically a full-time job. Yeah.
Wow.
If you do it right, you can do it. But if you don't do it right, you're gonna get hurt.
Sure. Yeah. Carpal tunnel and all those things.
Your muscles here, get spasms and a lot of stuff.
Well, and I went through that. And I don't want to stay talking, but started working out again. Overdid it as guys over 40 often do, and get something to my elbow. So now whenever I play guitar, I walk away with tennis elbow like every time. And so that's something that I just gotta learn to reel in my workouts, I guess, to not do that. So you studied there, and then at what point did you move to the States?
Well, I then, after that, I married for the first time.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I had a first marriage, which of course didn't work out.
Yep.
After that, I worked in ministry for a while,
Mm-hmm.
a long while. Then I moved to Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
For a while, came back in 2013, and I continued my master's degree because before going to the States, I had already started.
Gotcha.
My master's degree.
And so did you were you pursuing that in Syracuse also?
No.
Or just no? And so you came back to pursue your master's?
Yes, among other things, because I met my now wife.
Let me just say, there's nothing like a soon-to-be wife to cause you to move from one place to another place and change all sorts of stuff.
It changed everything because my thought was I was going to stay in the United States.
Yeah.
For the rest of my
forever.
life.
Yeah.
And I really liked Syracuse.
Yeah.
I was only good on Saturday too. One of my options was going down to Charlotte to live.
Yeah.
I really considered that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And how? So it's interesting, right? Because we can look back, hindsight's being 2020. Because we're going to talk in a moment about the rest of your story. How much of life and the blessing of life you could have possibly missed out on.
Oh yeah.
Just sitting here considering it, because I know the rest of the story, right?
Yeah.
And soon you guys will too. But you could have opted to stay in Syracuse or to move to Charlotte.
Exactly.
And so I'm gonna let you go take it from there.
Yeah, looking back, definitely for sure. Not what I have now. Maybe the Lord would have given me something similar, but not the blessing I have now.
Yeah.
So through my wife in 2013, I came back, or rather because of her, I came back. I came here to live in. Well, the original plan was to live here in Kawa, and court her, then marry her, everything else. But we had a situation, in our relationship, we broke up, so I went back to my birthplace, my dad was. I stayed there for, I think, I stayed there for 6 months.
Really?
7 months. Yeah. Came back to Kawas because we reconnected. Through her, I met this church. And I met Pastor Santos.
Yep.
So we started our relationship because of her.
She's been here forever.
Yeah.
I remember literally since I started coming here.
She came, she's Dominican. She was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. She came to Puerto Rico at 11 years old.
Yeah. And she got her education here and everything, didn't she?
Yes, exactly. She became American citizen too.
Yep.
So she has dual citizenship, Dominican and American.
Cool. Yeah.
And ever since she was 60 years old, she gave her life to Christ. And a year after that, she came here. So basically, since she was 17 up till now, she's been a member of this church.
Yep.
And that's why.
And let me say this too: not just a member, but a very active, serving, always there member. Always, and not just a pew sitter, but somebody who's actively involved.
She's an active servant here.
Yeah,
she works
tremendously.
Yes, she works a lot. Right now, she can't because we have a baby, but we're going to talk about.
We're going to get there in a minute. Yeah.
But before that, church, our marriage, and her job that was a life.
Yeah, what she did. Yeah. So let's talk about the brightest, one of the biggest, the greatest points. What would you pinpoint as that was a great moment?
Well, I think I have to say two things. My second marriage with my wife now, and the birth of my baby.
Yeah, that boy.
Yeah.
Man, I fell in love, dude.
Oh yeah.
Look, so sidebar. I took a selfie with me and sent it to my family, right? And my wife was like, "Oh, is that what you're bringing home for me?" I'm like,
"No, sir."
Yeah, no, right? Yeah,
no,
I don't think so, buddy.
No,
but what a beautiful baby boy. So tell me a little bit about him and her.
Well, Jahaira is a great, loving woman. She is, like I said, very generous with her time and efforts. She commits. I think one of the greatest things she has is that she commits. Whatever she does,
100%.
has to be 100% or no, nothing. And when we got married, she committed to our life, as a marriage. And of course, we both have messed up a lot.
Sure.
My second marriage, and I was alone for 10 years before I remarried.
Yep.
This is for her first and only marriage.
Yeah.
Let's say. So she never knew what being a married woman was.
Sure.
But she had great mentors in Pastor Miriam, Pastor Santos' wife, many other women from the church that mentored her onto what a woman of God should be in the context of marriage. So I had to prep her for that. You know, she's a great woman. She's generous. She's loving. She is caring. But one of the greatest things I think it was metamorphosis on her. She was very, very afraid of not knowing how to raise a kid.
Yeah.
But once she had our baby in her hands, you know, it was like the switch was flipped on.
Yeah.
And she immediately knew how to be a mom. And she is a great mom.
Yeah. She is phenomenal. So let's kind of go ahead and shift gears into where and really, I mean, that's kind of all the good stuff, all the beautiful stuff. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's talk for a moment with our audience about that most challenging segment.
Mm-hmm. It involves her and involves also my dad. I wanna flip them chronological because the second one was the most recent.
Yeah.
My dad's passing on June 23 this year because of COVID.
Yep.
As you all know, Puerto Rico has been severely hit by COVID. And my dad, he went from being the healthiest man to a shell of himself in 2 weeks. And then after that, he just died. He just passed away. Without any kind of warning, because we sincerely thought that the one that could have died was my mom. Both of my parents got it at the same time. Yeah. My mom got very sick, but my dad, his sickness was literally overnight. He was well today, and in a week he was totally decrepit. Wow. And he just died of that. I mean, no reason whatsoever. That was the hardest from the recent period, but the really, really most challenging one involves my wife and my son. Yeah. Well, my wife had a very difficult life, especially when she was a kid, and she carried a lot of hurt inside. Mm-hmm. When she came to Jesus, the Lord delivered her from many things. Yeah. But one thing she inherited from her mom was fibroids. Yeah. And her womb was totally filled with fibroids. Wow. So before we got married, she had her first surgery to remove the fibroids. Yeah. She was cleaned up, but after we got married, we discovered that the fibroids had regrown. Yeah, regrown. Yeah. In her womb. So she had a second surgery. Every big one was removed, but the little ones couldn't be removed because it was too difficult. Yeah. Like a year after that, we learned that she had stage 1 cancer in her uterus. Yeah. So it's called a cone surgery, where the base of the uterus was removed. That's where the cancer was. Yeah. Thankfully, it was only there. Yeah. But it was like, what else, Lord?
Yeah, it's like...
Exactly. Once that passed, we were still, looking for a baby. Yeah. She wanted to do a lot of stuff. She wanted to have in vitro and everything. Yeah. But I felt in my spirit that was not the way the Lord wanted. Yeah. So we didn't... I don't want to say we were fighting about it, but we're not looking eye to eye about it. Yeah. Finally, when I said, okay, do whatever you want, she wasn't looking for the in vitro, but her surgeons told her, look, it's up to you. It's 50-50. Yeah. I'm not gonna do any more surgeries on you. If you want to go ahead with the in vitro, I can take you to Denver because I know a guy there that can help you out.
Yeah.
This is going to be 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no guarantee.
No guarantee
that you're going to be able to do anything.
And so she basically, said, "Okay, surrender." When she surrendered, the Lord
came in.
Yes, exactly. It was a baby. It was a great joy. But soon after that, like a month and a half, she started having little bleedings. They were not serious.
After
she got pregnant.
After she got pregnant. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, she hadn't planned at all before getting pregnant. She got pregnant. Like a month and a half after that, she started having little bleedings.
Yeah, spotting.
Yeah, spotting. And that went on and off. But we had a serious episode in November. That was the first one when we were really scared. Thankfully, nothing happened. We went back home. In December, she had another one.
Okay.
Basically the same thing. Again, nothing really serious. But on January 10, something.
And about how far along was she at this point?
She was, so she got pregnant at the end of September, November, December, January. She was around 3 months.
Oh, around 3,
ish.
Yeah.
2.5, 3 months. So she had a severe bleeding, and we had to run with her to the hospital. She got hospitalized for a week.
Wow.
The bleeding stopped. But as soon as she got disconnected from everything, she started bleeding again. But this time, it was a fire hose of blood. I mean, she was bleeding out. Literally, bleeding out. That was, and so she calls me, hysterically, "Joel, come back because I'm now bleeding." And when I came back, she was really bleeding out.
Yeah.
She was sitting at the toilet and she was bleeding out nonstop. So the surgeon comes in. They try to see what's going on.
Yeah.
The surgeon, the gynecologist, none of them could find where the place was where she was bleeding from. So the call was made about 2 hours after that happened. The gynecologist told her, point blank, I was there. There are 3 options here. Either I find a place where you're bleeding from, or have to take your womb out with the baby, or you're going to die.
Yeah. And if they take the womb out with the baby, at that stage, the baby dies.
Oh, he was going to die, Yeah, exactly. That was because...
Wow. I mean, just that to be at a place in life.
Yes.
Where you're having to make that kind of decision.
Yes. And we knew that it was it. Because if they took the womb out, no more kids.
Yeah.
Unless we decided later
to
adopt. But unless that happened, we wouldn't have any kids.
Yeah.
So I started praying and fighting. I literally fighting with God.
I can imagine. Father, what?
What's this?
What's going on?
Because we've been praying for this for so long.
Yeah.
We've been expecting this for so long. You give us a baby, now you're going to take it like this.
Yeah.
Then you're going to take my wife too.
Yeah.
But the Lord came through. So finally, they took her to the surgery room, and the doctor came out like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Later.
So you were like, no to plan B and C. We're going with A. You're going to find it and shut this fire hose off.
Exactly. That was the only option for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Only option. So they found a place. I say found, but it's actually found with big quotes because when the doctor came out, he told us, "Look, the bleeding stopped. I could basically bound up a place where it was, but I have no idea what I did. Really. I went in blind. I did something. I put the needle somewhere, and it stopped, but I don't know." That was what he said.
That's what you call really practicing medicine, right?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. I just did, and it worked. Ta-da! Wow.
And she's alive. The baby's there.
Yeah.
But she had to have 2 pints of blood.
Wow. Yeah.
She had to receive 2 pints of blood because that's how much she bled out.
Yeah, that she bled out.
So after that, the recovery started. But I say recovery because it was a 4-month and a half long recovery.
Yeah.
She had to be in hospital, literally living in hospital.
For the rest of her pregnancy, I imagine,
pretty
right?
much,
Yeah.
She had a 40-day hiatus because of COVID. She had to be taken out of the hospital to bring her home.
Oh my goodness sake.
Yeah, COVID.
Yeah, COVID, right?
Yes. But
that's going to be like the next generation's
exactly,
first word.
the COVID
COVID.
generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, COVID. Yeah. But so she was sent home 40 days, and but we had to do the prep work for the C-section.
Yeah.
Because it's been decided ever since she got to the hospital it was going to be a C-section. I forgot to mention. So at that bleeding, later the Lord explained to me, to my spirit, what really happened. At the moment, we thought it was a rogue bleeding, totally out of whack. What happened here? So I mentioned her fibroids. So imagine the woman's womb. Mm-hmm. She had all of this part covered in fibroids.
Wow.
Isaac was located here. So when that happened, Isaac was moved down here. Mm-hmm. Here, she had the only real place where the baby could attach to live.
Yeah, without being attached to the fibroids.
Exactly, to the fibroids.
Wow.
So what happened was, to this day, don't ask me how, this looked crazy because if the baby, gets unattached, he dies.
Yeah, that's just
so something happened. So he moved here, and she had all of this area covered with fibroids, except for here.
Right where he was at.
Exactly.
Wow.
So he grew up there 7.5 months, but she developed something that I forgot the term. It was I forgot the technical term, but the point is that the umbilical cord grew inside of the womb instead of on the surface.
Yeah.
It literally, imagine a tree. It grew roots inside of the womb.
Yeah.
And it penetrated
through the womb
to the other side.
Wow.
Now that covered the cervical canal, the birth canal. So the only way out was C-section.
Yeah.
It was even worse than that. When he was born, later the surgeon told me that not only that, it was literally like a tree. It was all totally deformed. They took the baby out. They had to take all the womb out and one of her ovaries out too. But he really told me, this is extremely odd. Your wife's case is going to become a study case for us. Because we don't know how this happened. So the only way that she could have retained the baby, it was if the umbilical cord became like a tree inside of the womb.
Yeah.
It anchored itself. Because if not, her womb was so fragile that the baby could have just gone down and aborted. Yeah.
Wow.
But the Lord kept it like that. So the miracle is even bigger than we thought.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, she had a C-section. You got everything removed.
Yeah.
They stitched her and everything. It was a success.
Yeah.
At least the C-section was. But then the really bad part started happening. Mm-hmm. So when they had to remove her womb, all the intestines had to be moved away.
Yeah.
So when they put him back into place, the biggest intestine never woke up.
Wow.
Never woke up. So because of that, started swelling, and the blood stopped in that area. The blood flow stopped, so it died. It became black, and it blew up. So all of her excrement started spilling out. So she had, excruciating pain for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Finally, they made an MRI, and they could see what really went on. Mm-hmm. And I see the surgeon coming in with his eyes like this, like, we gotta go to surgery right now.
Now.
It has to be now. If we don't go now, in 2 hours she's gonna die. Because she was this close to septicemia.
Yeah.
To septic.
Yeah.
How do you say? Septicemia. Yeah, that's the word.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is a blood infection.
Sure. Yeah. Once it gets in your blood, that's ended up how my mom actually passed.
Yes.
The infection got in her blood. Yeah. That was it.
So When he steps up to see me, I went like, "Is that serious?" He went, "Yeah, she has excrement all over her cavity. You have to open her now." So they took her to the surgery room again. They opened her up again, the same move, the same place. The C-section was to here. Now they opened her to up here. They cleaned everything out. They cut the part of the intestine that was dead. It was from here, from the appendix up to here.
Wow.
And they cut it out, so they had to put a little bag so she can put her stuff. And she was like that for 4.5 months.
Wow. And a new mom.
Yes.
A new dad.
A new dad. So you can imagine that was my darkest moment in life, and hers. Exactly.
Wow.
But at the end of the day, it was a blessing because eventually, she had another surgery.
Yeah.
They put the intestines together. Now she's fine, but
bro, that's the stuff history is made of.
Yes.
That's stories you read about in books.
Exactly.
There's like Bible stories about that kind of thing. It's like, oh my goodness sake, wow.
I was gonna forget about this part of the story. You remind me now. One very early morning, it was like 5:30 in the morning. We were praying, my wife and I, and suddenly the prophetic spirit comes to me, and I receive a word from the Lord, and I tell her, it's not Agar, it's Sarah.
Wow. Get that, friends. That's powerful.
It's not Agar, it's Sarah.
It's Sarah.
Meaning that Agar was the way of the flesh, the human power, what I can do to accomplish God's word of me, like Abraham did. But it was not that way.
No.
It was not through the scientific way, through the physical, in vitro way. It was the spiritual way. It was going to be a son from the Lord.
That promised child.
Yes, the promised child.
Wow.
As in Isaac. Therefore, we both received revelation that our son was going to be named Isaac. So that's his name.
Wow.
Isaac Joel.
Yep.
But when she was in that process, when she woke up and she came back home and she was extremely skinny, the baby was so little because he was preemie.
Yeah, preemie.
We both, were looking at each other with like, I know the Lord told us to call him Isaac because he was going to be our laughter. Where's the laughter?
Yeah.
We're not laughing.
Well, can I tell you, having spent the weekend with you, he is laughter. He is Isaac.
Yes, he is Isaac.
I fell in love with him, but when I see the love in your eyes for him, I'm like, man, that is just it's godly, it's biblical, it's a miracle, it's miraculous. I mean, there's so many different points of miraculous that it really is. Let me interject. If there's one thing you could say to somebody who's watching today, who might be going through something similar, what would you tell them?
I would tell you, trust the Lord. Trust the Lord with all your heart, because, and this is something I tell my wife all the time. You might be thinking this, but it has worked for other people. The in vitro way has worked for many other people. They have kids, and their kids are happy and they're healthy. But I would tell you, just let the Holy Spirit lead you. Because in my case, even though there have been hundreds of thousands of babies born out of the in vitro way, and there's nothing bad with it, but the Lord spoke to me and told me that was not going to be our way. So I would say trust in the Lord, because He still opens up dry wounds.
Woo.
He still does it. My wife is a living example of that. And one very important thing about Isaac, when he was born, he was 7.5 months. So he was this little. I don't know if you can see. This little. He fit here. From here to here. Okay. And the pediatrician told us that he was going to be behind development for at least a year and a half. eventually he was going to come into a place where he was equal with his age, but he was going to be behind. He was going to be late to walk, late to crawl, late to speak, late to eat. When he was 1 year old, he was already equal to every
wow.
He literally
every benchmark,
he literally ran through every single benchmark in his development. He was crawling at 6.
Wow.
He was already started to walk at 9 months.
Man, that's
At 1 year old, he was running and jumping. And now he speaks nonstop.
He does.
He does. So trust the Lord, because the man has a way. I'm not saying the scientific medical way is not good or even precise. It is. I work for you. But in my case, I can tell you, the Lord spoke to my heart. It was not going to be that way. It was going to be His way. He told to me, it's not Agar, it's Sarah. So Sarah it was.
Brother, so in closing, I normally wrap things up with some spiffy, but again, hearing your testimony, friends, my mind is just, it's blown. So, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Pastor Joel, man, thank you for coming out and just sharing. I believe that this testimony on this platform is going to reach individuals in every stage of that process and bring miracles to your life. And that's what I'm believing for. Anyway, friends, that's about all the time.
And I want to say something else.
Go ahead.
God is a revoker of death.
Yes.
He revokes death. My wife was about to die twice. That January when it was bleeding out. And when he got her second surgery because of her intestine, he almost died for the second time.
Wow.
So God gave her life twice.
Amen.
So God is a revoker of death.
Amen.
Any death you're experiencing, trust the Lord. He raised Lazarus from the death.
That's right.
He raised my wife from the death basically twice.
Twice. Right.
Yes.
Amen. That's about all the time we have, guys. Thank you so much. Joel, thank you, Pastor, for being here with me. Your hospitality this weekend. Guys, just life's there for the living, so go out there and live it.